Genesis 49, 22 through 26. Israel is now at a point where he's blessing all 12 tribes of his children, individually, not just the children of Joseph. And he says unto Judah, Genesis 49, 9 and 10. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey, my son. Thou art gone up. He stooped down, couched as a lion, and as an old lion shall rouse him up. The sceptre shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Now in verse 10 it mentions of a scepter. A scepter is this rod, as also mentioned in Revelations 12:5, which was given to the child that was born of the woman, which was given a rod of iron. A scepter is a rod which also displays an act of leadership, power, and also understanding it's just a stick. It's a branch from a tree, hard, steady branch. And it's a stick that's like a walking cane for those that were in leadership. And so Jacob is blessing Judah with an act of leadership, giving him the scepter and telling him that it shall not depart from him until Shiloh comes. The word not depart means that it's not going to leave Judah at all. So this is a spiritual blessing, not just a stick that is being passed down through the lineage. It's a spiritual blessing that's referring that it's his only, and it's not going anywhere from his loins, from his blessing, from his spiritual inheritance. And the word until means that it's only going to depart at a certain time in the makings of history. And so until means like now, at a certain point, now it can be transferred. Now it will be done. It can wait until then. So they're waiting for something to happen. And so until that time, it's not going anywhere from his blessings. Now Shiloh is a spiritual name for Jesus, which is known among the Jews, which mention Jesus as being the Shiloh who will come. You can Google it, and it will also mention that name being an interpretation, a spiritual name for the coming Messiah. So, being that it will not depart until Shiloh comes, we see then therefore that when the Messiah came, this scepter is now going to depart from Judah's leadership unto the Messiah. And so I'm going to also show you in the future references how the Messiah also passes down this inheritable blessing, and how leadership also comes through the remnant seeds, and what Jesus also mentions. So let's continue. Genesis 49, 22 to 26. We come now to the blessings of Joseph, whose seed is Ephraim, who carries a laying on of the hands, inheritable, double portional blessing through a lineage, not just the blessing that is mentioned of him of leadership. Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. The archers have sorely grieved him, and shot at him and hated him. But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. Now the reason why Joseph is mentioned as a shepherd, there's many reasons why, because many shepherds came and many shepherds were leaders to the fold. And as mentioned in John 10, Jesus, who is the shepherd of the fold, also mentions and says in the verses, he who enters into the door is shepherd of the fold. And the door is Jesus. So he who enters into Jesus is also a shepherd. And by becoming a shepherd is the criteria of the gospel put into practice edifying the saints as well as edifying yourself, enabling yourself to be a steward and minister for Christ in order to lead his fold. And so he also comes with a blessing and says, other sheep I have which are not of this fold, which he was referring of his Christian fold. And he said, for there shall also be one shepherd in one fold, them too I must bring home. And so therefore the shepherd that he's referring to is also this double portional inheritable blessing that are also being passed down. So I will show you now how the blessings of Ephraim through the laying on of the hands and also the departing of the scepter, and how the Messiah also passes on this lineal blessing, in which we, as remnants of the Christian fold, heirs, joint heirs with Christ, heirs of God, also come to a boiling point unto a royal priesthood, a peculiar nation, a chosen generation. And these things I will also be leading into the remnant of her seed, which keepeth the commandments of God and holds the testimony of the Messiah himself. Let's continue. Even by the God of thy father who shall help thee, and by the Almighty who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors. Judah is saying that his blessings are greater than all his fathers. And so his blessings are being passed down to his children as well. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. Meaning the children and the children's children, and those strong and great and strong, hardened soldiers, are hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separated from his brothers. So these little everlasting hills, according to the seeds that continue to be planted and grow, and the seeds of each child, which differs from one another, like Ephraim and Manasseh, chosen children who are greater than others on hills and mountains. So these hills, he's saying, shall be on the head of Joseph. The blessings shall be a crown on the head of Joseph. And so this blessing is a great blessing that prevails against all the fathers. And he is wearing the crown. And so the crown of Joseph is now passed down in a theological point of view unto Ephraim. Because once Joseph dies, Ephraim continues and is the greater of Manasseh. Okay, so let's continue. Ezekiel's 37:15 through 22. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions. So now we see a side-by-side comparability. We see a stick that was taken for Judah, our Messiah, and we see a stick taken for Joseph, which was mentioned, the stick of Ephraim, okay, and all the house of Israel. So we have two powerhouses here side by side, and we have two sticks. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. So whether he took two sticks and tied it together, that's a double stick. That's two powers, two witnesses, two prophets, two in one. Jesus says, I and my Father are one. Is it not written in your law that the testimony of two men are greater and true? And yet I am one, and my Father is another. Jesus being the body and flesh, the Father being the Spirit, making Jesus two anointed prophets, two anointed beings, two anointed symbols only appearing in one body, two witnesses at the same time.